Because as you remember going through certifications, every one of them asked for your books, right? They wanted your P&Ls, they wanted your taxes, they wanted everything, right? So it's got to be in order, so just remember that. The next one is one of my favorite, and that's called your credibility. Your credibility is what other people say about your business. How did you perform on a similar scope of work for another large entity? So if you can get a buyer from SoCal Gas, if SoCal Gas is one of your customers, that will tell you how good you did on the job, that is a great thing to put on it. They'll put their name on it, and then away you go. And that is the single greatest door opener. Now, everything that we're doing should also be documented on your website and in greater depth and detail. Because a capability statement is typically how many pages? One page, right? One page capability statement is the very best thing that you can do. Now you can back it up with a document called a statement of qualifications, which is a larger document stating all of your 3C1P. But you can list multiple past performances, multiple pictures of jobs, etc., etc. Okay? Let me get to this next one. We'll come back to it. The next one is what everybody looks at. We put it forth because if you don't have the first three, this one is really irrelevant, and it's called past performance. Now, I've never done business with a VA, so how am I going to work with the federal government? I've never done business with SoCal Gas. How am I going to do business with them? Or another utility? I've never done business with a large telecommunications company. How am I going to do business with them? The thing that they're going to want to see, if you have never had a like experience in that sector, is a like experience somewhere else. And it needs to be as closely parallel to the requirement that you're going after. Does that make sense? So you want that like experience to be very, very identified to the requirements that you've already done your homework on, and you know they're out there, that you are going after and you're pursuing. Okay? Because the important thing is here is that we all understand, and they understand as well, that not everybody has done business, you know, with a large utility, with a large telecommunications company, with the federal government, with the state government. But if you've done like jobs in the commercial sector, private sector, and you can document that through the credibility part, through the capacity part, and through the capability part, then you're at least going to get consideration to go to the next step, at which time you will demonstrate your technical expertise, right? Because there's no point in starting off with your technical expertise if you haven't really raised the bar on the conversation. Does that make sense now? Because, for example, you're in a matchmaking event. Very few of these people are going to know the intricacies of your business or of your line of work. Some of them may have a little bit of understanding, but by and large, they don't know exactly your business and all the technical things. So what they're doing is they are looking at you to see if you have met the 3C1P formula before they're even going to get you in front of anybody else. And that is a very, very important distinction. Okay, you have another question?
I made the website that we have to conform to the capability statement. And it came to mind, should there be a spot in there for testimonial? For example, I had another construction cleanup company hire us for a job that they couldn't do.
Everybody would answer? Yes, most certainly. You definitely want testimonies. That's that credibility side of it, remember? You should have a full page of testimonies on your website. And you might also do a LinkedIn profile, which we don't have time to cover today. But LinkedIn is a huge crossover for you. It demonstrates credibility again. And all of you should have a LinkedIn presence. And if you don't, talk to me after. We'll figure out how to get you on. Okay? but it's something you need to do. It supports your website. Now, if you don't have a great website, you need to get a great website. That's like your first #1 job today. If you don't have a great capability statement, get a great capability statement as soon as you can. Okay, the last thing that needs to be on the capability statement is obviously your contact information. You would not believe how many companies forget to put a point of contact on there. So I had the responsibility today of selecting, or calling, no, I didn't get to select, of calling and texting the 10 DVBEs that will be in this room in the next 20 minutes. And you know, 3 of them didn't have their cell number on there or the point of contact. So you need to make it easy for them to contact you. Your website should have contact information on every page. Your capability statement should have your contact information beautifully centered or nicely right justified or left justified, whatever your preference is, at the top. And then maybe horizontal on the bottom. You need to have your contact information. You need to make it easy to get, you need to make it easy for them to get a hold of it. Okay? Let's keep going. All right, so we talked a little bit about market research. We don't have a lot of time to go on to that. But once you're at this stage, your next step is market research. You need to identify your customers. At all of the 3 levels that we talked about today, go into the right place and do your research. Because you want to then impress them with what you know about what they're buying. So I was fortunate. Karen came to me and said, you know somebody that can do this. But at the same time, it was incumbent on me to know that that's what they wanted. Does that make sense? So I needed to do my research to make sure what AT&T was buying. You need to know exactly what your customers are buying. And you need to know exactly, to the best of your ability, who the incumbent on it is, what their award was, how long it's good for. So at the federal level, how many of you have heard of the IDIQ? Very good, a couple of you. The IDIQ is the best contract you can get. It's called Indefinite Delivery, Indefinite Quantity. It's typically what they call a base plus 4-year option. That is a sweet deal. So you pre-negotiate a contract typically for your base, and then after you've been on the job a year, they renew the option. They renew the option the second year, and so on and so forth. And the only way you lose that contract is what? Non-performance. Non-performance and non-conformance. So every agency that we work with is going to demand, if they're a prevailing wage organization or a union organization, you're going to need to have the proper compliance with that. We have a whole other seminar that we teach on that, but that's a different issue. Just understand, if it's prevailing wage, you can't get around it. You must pay prevailing wage, right? Everybody knows that if you've done that before. If it's a union job, there are some options. There's a PSA and what's the other one? PLA, thank you. And a PLA. Those are just labor agreements, is basically what they're. Yes, sir.
I just want to make a couple comments about the IDIQ. We have several IDIQs, and first of all, if you've never had it, you're not going to get it straight off. You have to subcontract for years to get your first IDIQ. Second is a fishing license for a very large pond, but you still have to fish. And sometimes they have not stocked the pond, and the IDIQ does nothing. Other times they take off like a banshee. So
that's a good testimony.
It's a good vehicle.
Excellent testimony. You know, and I think the bottom line here is, I think what we're actually talking about is the fact that even after you get into a nice relationship, you still must market. You still must be out there. You still must go to the conferences. You still got to be on their base when they have an industry day. I mean, you've got to. We'll get to questions.
Just one more thing. Just get on multiple teams too, because not all of them hit it with the IDIQ.
That's really good. Did everybody hear that one? We weren't really going to get to that today until just throwing it out there. There's a whole concept of teams, getting on teams for federal contracts. So that's something we can talk about later if you're interested in another, maybe in the afternoon. Moving on. So the most important thing here is once you've identified your customer, you must market it. Okay? And that marketing is building upon that relationship and then getting an opportunity to come in and meet with the people that you've met with, and then once you get through that process, have them introduce you to the buyers, match you to the requirements. But the key thing, I want to leave you with 3 things as we close today. The most important thing that you want to present today in your matchmaking session, if you know what they are buying, is that you have a solution to what they're buying. The federal government, the state government, and all of our agencies and utilities today are all looking for solutions. They're not looking to do business with you because you're a DVBE. They're looking for what you can provide for them, how you're going to help them to meet what they're looking for you to accomplish, or what they're looking to accomplish. That's number 1. Number 2, you must be prepared. Your website, your capability statements, your certifications all have to be in order. They've got to be very, very attractive. They've got to be eye-catching. They've got to be able to jump out at the reader and show them that you are capable, confident, have the capacity and the credibility to do what they are looking for you to do. And the third most important thing then is that you must market it. Okay? So today what I'm going to do is, we won't have time to cover that, but you can tell we're going to cover the teams and everything. So I'm William Osgood. I have a company called CFR and Associates, and what we'd like to do today, if anybody's interested, I have a couple of other presentations that we'll be happy to send out by email if you want to include this one. All you have to do is give me your card. I have my cards up here. I also have a couple CDs that if you want to purchase, you can purchase one off the website. Many of them are related to growing your business. And then finally, and most importantly, what I want to do is we really want to offer our veterans today an opportunity, number 1, to become a part of the elite SDVOB network in any area. We have chapters in Los Angeles. We have chapters in Orange County and San Diego and Northern California. So we have 4 chapters. As a matter of fact, we have, are you the chapter president now? Are you? No, board member. We have board member for the Northern California chapter, and I'm the vice president of the Los Angeles chapter. So I want to invite you to that. And then anybody that's interested in a complimentary consultation, just kind of give me a card and write that out there, and I'll be happy to follow up with you next week. We'll get one book. We'll kind of work through your business a little bit if you'd like that. So without any further ado, I'd like to thank you for coming. Enjoy the event. We have our workshop number 3, which is going to be certifications. And then in this room, 10 DVBEs that have been selected will be coming in here, pitching to the agency. So look forward to seeing you out there. I want to say thank you today. Come up and give me your business cards if you'd like any information.
We're here next week.
If you were selected, yes.